小さな町の小さなクラブを紹介するスモールタウン FC。 今回はロンドンの中心部から北東におよそ12キロ、ウォルサムストーフォレストにあるフットボールクラブオールドフォレスターズ FC を紹介しよう。オールドフォレスターズ FC は名門パブリックスクールフォレスト校の卒業生によって発足されたクラブ。フォレスト校の創立は1834年。ロンドン近郊ということもあり、創立当時から銀行員や商人の子どもたちが多く通っていたという。フォレスト校の教育は評判となり、国内有数の名門校として知られるようになると、学校の規模も徐々に拡大。施設の多くはロイヤルファミリーによって建てられた。フォレスト校にフットボールクラブが誕生したのは学校創立からおよそ30年後のこと。
And the first recorded games from 1863 and 1864, but largely they were occasional games because not many other teams were playing football, so there weren't many other people to play football against. But there'd been the split a few years before that between the schools that played rugby, or the people that played rugby, and the people that played football, and there was the debate about could you or could you not pick up the ball and run with it. Some people said yes you can, and that became rugby. Some people said no you can't, and that became football. And this was one of the places where football was then first played under the rules of football as we more or less know it now.
当時パブリックスクールはそれぞれにオリジナルのルールを設けていたが、学校対抗の試合を行うための統一ルールが作られた際にはフォレスト校も大きな役割を果たしている。
Probably Eton and Harrow had also their own rules, and Shrewsbury as well. And then of course the schools started to want to play each other, so in order for that to happen they had to meet and unify the rules. And I know that one of the people on the committee that set the first set of rules for football was the school first 11 captain. The goals themselves, and on this area here supposedly was one of the first places that a crossbar was ever used. Up until then you had two straight posts and you scored by kicking it between the posts. And then they said, well, this is too much like rugby, let's cut it down and make it a height that someone can reach. So you got this standard 8 foot by 8 yards goal.
そしてフォレスト校のグラウンドはフットボールの歴史にとって重要な場所でもある。
Where we're standing now, it seems, is one of the original sites of organised football. A large crowd of people standing watching football in this actual space. And the trees and so on, I don't think there were as many of them here, but there were still the sort of barriers around the pitch, and some of these old wooden posts along the side here and behind me were, I think, part of the original surrounds of this area. So this area here was certainly one of the first places where organised football was ever played.
またフォレスト校は FA カップに出場した唯一の学校としても知られている。
Weren't terribly successful because of course some of the other sides were quite well developed by then, but for 2 years Forest School did play in the actual FA Cup, but Forest School I think played either 1 or 2 games in each season, but remains now the only school to have ever played in it, and that won't change. I can't see any schools entering the FA Cup now.
フォレスト校の卒業生のクラブオールドフォレスターズ FC が発足されたのは1876年。当時はイングランド代表選手も所属していたという。しかし成績は振るわず、1902年の発足以来参加していたアーサーダンカップではおよそ70年タイトルから見放された。1974年オールドフォレスターズ FC は念願の初優勝を果たすが、予期せぬトラブルに見舞われたという。
Well, one year, of course, we won it and we'd carried it around all evening. Then the next day, we couldn't remember where it was. And so we thought we'd probably lost what is the oldest trophy in world football. The Scottish Cup, I think, is very old. The FA Cup isn't so old because it's been replaced a few times. But there I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we've lost the most expensive thing, irreplaceable in value. And of course it turned out we'd been in the pub having a drink and one of the players, his girlfriend, had seen it there and thought, well, for safekeeping, I'll put it in the boot of my car. Then she'd gone home, we'd all carried on enjoying the night, and the next day we didn't know she'd put it in the boot of the car, and we were in a bit of panic. We were very pleased.
フォレスト校の卒業生の中にはかつてプレミアリーグのピッチに立った選手がいる。クイントン・フォーチュン。
Obviously when he was younger and he'd been spotted playing in South Africa, and it was Tottenham who brought him originally over to this country, and Tottenham have always had some connections with the school. We've had friendly games against their youth team and so on, and so they chose to send him here to school whilst he was training with Tottenham. And then he had a successful period of time at Tottenham after he left school, then moved on to Atletico Madrid, and from there to Manchester United.
マンチェスターユナイテッドでは7シーズンで公式戦126試合に出場し10ゴールを記録。リーグ優勝にも貢献した。
But he still stayed in touch with a number of the people that he played with here, so some of his teammates he still speaks to and sees sometimes when he's in the area. But certainly he's one of the best players we've had at the school.
現在パブリックスクールの卒業生を対象としたリーグ、アースリアンリーグのプレミアディビジョンに所属するオールドフォレスターズ FC。 およそ150年にわたるフットボールの歴史を今に伝え続けている。